Hi, my little babies. Welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Review. Thank you for joining me for another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. My name is Candace, and I am your host. That was so succinctly put. Am I a new person? Have I been body snatched? Maybe. Would I know if I had? Probably not. Okay, so thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you being here for another episode. I don't know why you did this to yourself. Masochist much? Haha. In today's episode, we are still wait, hold on. Let me redo it. Let me redo the intro the way it should have been done. Hi, my little babies. Welcome back to another episode of the JT Geissinger channel. Because in today's episode, we will be reviewing not one, not two, but 3 JT Geissinger novels. Oh Lord, help me, Jesus. Listen, I know what you're thinking. Candace, what the fuck are you doing? You can't remember the plot to one book. You're gonna try and do a review for 3 books in one video? One video review for you takes an hour and a half. I know. Oh, I know. Girl, I know. Okay. This is clearly a mistake. But now that I've committed, I gotta do it. So, if you are a diehard WTS, and I had to, in my brain, really quick think if I got that acronym correct, and I did. If you are a diehard WTS fan, do I have fans? No. A diehard WTS follower, and you are willing to sit through a 3-hour-long video, then this will be the one for you. Okay? So, in today's video, we're going to be reviewing what reviewers and critics all over the nation, it's me, I'm critics all over the nation, have described as one of the best stories they have ever read in their lives. And that, my children, is the Dangerous Beauty series by JT Geissinger. Okay, this series consists of 3 books. They are essentially, I won't say they're novellas because that is debatable, and I'll tell you why. The page count per Amazon, and you know how I feel about that, but per Amazon, these books are around close to between 250 and 300 pages a piece. I consider anything less than 300 pages to be like a novella. But that's me personally. What you consider to be a novella may be different, right? And they're not, they weren't marketed, I don't think, as novellas. They were marketed as full-length novels. So, it's whatever you feel like you want to call it. I don't give a shit. You decide, right? So, the first book in the series is Dangerous Beauty. And the number of pages in this one is 255. Amazon lied and told me I had 268. Color me surprised. Bastards. The second book in the series is Dangerous Desires, which I have my reading journal in front of me because you guys know I have to have my reading journal or I'll die. Physically, I will die. And the page number for Dangerous Desires, book 2 in the series, is 227 pages. Amazon promised me 239. And the third book in the series, Dangerous Games, has, let's see, 212. And I was promised 223. So, 3 books in this series. When you get down to like 212 pages, I would 100% consider that a novella. Less than 250 pages, novella. In my book, 100%. So, this first book, you could probably get away with saying full-length novel. These 2 guys, gray area, I also absolutely hate, if you look at this binding here, first of all, Amazon, do better on the printing of these. The tops always come janky as fuck. Do better, okay? I'm just saying. It's not just on this series or this author. Every single fucking trade paperback that you print comes with the top toe up to the flow up. Do better, okay? So if you look here, why are these 2 fonts, why do they get progressively smaller as they go? It can't just be because the books are slightly thinner or smaller than the book before it. You could have fit a bigger fucking font on that book. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I can't imagine that was done on purpose. Maybe? I don't know. The more I look at it, maybe it was done on purpose. I don't know. But anyway. So those are the books that we're here to review today, children. This series of books ran the fucking gamut. Like, emotionally, I was everywhere. I was laughing hysterically. I was on the seat of my pants, on the edge of my seat. I was on the edge of my seat in suspense. I was anxious as fuck. I was nervous. My heart was on fire. The love scenes, it was a slow burn, number 1. They don't have sex for like the first novel till the very end of the first novel. So brace yourself for that. However, once they do start doing it on the regs, it's good. It's hot. That's hot. This series is the second series and or book since in recent memory, I'll just say in recent memory, that has made me literally cry. Unwittingly made me cry because I don't go out of my way to read books that I know will make me cry. And I'll tell you why. First of all, if you have watched me at all, if you know anything about me, whether it be through here or through Bookstagram, where I spend literally 99% of my life, you will know if there's one thing that I require from every book, what is it? What is it? Say it with me. HEA. It's my fucking HEA. If you rec me a book with no HEA, you're dead to me. That's number one. Number two, like especially if the HEA, if there's no HEA because you killed one of my two main characters. The author that wrote that book is dead to me. And the person who wrecked me that book is dead to me. You're cut off. Okay? Now, that being said, I don't go out of my way to read tearjerker novels. Authors that I have specifically heard that write novels that are filled with drama that make you cry. Colleen Hoover, I've heard, does that. Whoever it was that wrote that, what was it, the Ravenhood or the Ravenwood or whatever the fuck that was series, I've heard from numerous people that those books made them cry hysterically. I've steered clear on purpose because of that. No, I don't seek out books that make me cry. If I hear that a book is going to make me cry, I will avoid it like the plague. You know why? Because I deal with stuff in my everyday life, that makes me want to cry on a daily basis. I do not want that in my romance novels. I use reading romance as an escape from my real life. Why would I leave my life, my real life, where I already deal with anxiety and bouts of depression and cry a lot, to jump into novels that make me cry and make me sad and depressed? Fuck no, I don't want that. Get the shit out of here. No. I want the fairy tale as unrealistic as it may be. I don't care how unrealistic it is. I don't care if it's not real life. I don't want real life. I want, and they lived happily ever after. Otherwise, why am I wasting my time on these books? Okay? Okay. So, these books specifically are only the second series of books that have unwittingly made me cry. And it wasn't even because of anything terrible that happened in the books. It was someone telling a story of something terrible that happened to them. And in telling that story, I bawled like a baby. Because I could feel what he felt. And I was like, oh my God. And that's the mark of a good author, that I literally felt his heartache. And it hit me here. So, 20 minutes in. 20 minutes into the video, we're going to get into the details of the books. So, all three books in this series are free to read with KU. If you are not familiar with what KU is, Kindle Unlimited is a subscription service that you can get through Amazon. If you have a Kindle device, it is a monthly subscription service that you pay a certain amount a month, and you can check books out from their free library, read them, return them, check out more free books. Okay, the end. That's enough on KU. I'm not sponsored. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, so the price for the books. The first one, Dangerous Beauty. If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle, it's $4.99. If you want to own the trade paperback, it is $12.95. This book is also available in audio. And that's another thing that I want to mention. If you have KU, the audiobooks for all 3 of these are free with KU. So the free audiobooks come with the KU subscription. So sometimes you'll notice that your KU subscription, when you go to look at a book on Amazon, you'll see that it'll say free with Kindle Unlimited. It will also have a little pair of orange headphones next to where it says that. That means that it has a corresponding audiobook that is also free to listen to with your Kindle subscription or with your KU subscription. So I would 150 billion% recommend that you take advantage of that service for these books. The narrators for the 2 main characters for these 3 novels were fucking outstanding. When I say outstanding, I mean 2 of the best narrators I've ever had the privilege of listening to. There is no dual narration within the chapters, but they're so good that you don't miss it much, if that makes sense. The narrator for the main female character, Eva, specifically, I thought did a fantastic job. Her voice is so melodic and easy to listen to. And the main male character, Naz, the actor who did his voice also, is just so pleasing. So pleasing to my ears. So the pacing was good. The enunciation was good. Like, everything was outstanding. So if I had to advise on whether or not to physically read or listen, I would tell you to listen versus book. That would be my recommendation, 100%. Listen to the audiobooks instead of actually reading the books. The audiobooks knocked this series out of the park for me. It just lended something to the series that I think would have been lost otherwise if I had been reading it myself. There are some books that you can read that you listen to on audio and you think to yourself, I think I would have liked it more if I had read it myself. I would have been into it more if I had read it myself. And then there are books that you say vice versa on, that, oh, maybe I would have liked it better if it was an audio. This one, you would like it better in audio. I'm telling you, you will like it better in the audio. So do the audio. It's free. It's literally free. You have nothing to lose. So, that's for book 1. So for Dangerous Beauty, $12.95 for this one. For book 2 in the series, again, $4.99 for your Kindle, and that's for Dangerous Desires. If you want to purchase, $12.95. And then for the 3rd book, Dangerous Games, it is also $4.99 to download on your Kindle if you don't have KU. And if you want to purchase the trade, it's $12.56, which was a strange and odd number. But I guess they figured since you get a little bit less pages, that they should charge you a little bit less money. I took so many notes with this series that it is outrageous. 3 pages of notes. Because even though it's only 200 pages, there was so much going on that, and my brain is just. So let's get started. I'm going to read you guys the blurb from the first book. And then after that, I don't think I'll read you guys the blurbs from the other two. I think I'm just going to give you guys an overall arcing storyline. I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. And I know I say that every video, and then it turns into an hour and a half anyway. And this one's going to be like 5 hours. So let's get hydrated. Okay, the blurb for this one. She escaped a life of danger and stepped right into a deadly world of desire. For Nasir, former special ops military man and bodyguard, his new job seems like an easy money gig. Trail a Russian mobster's runaway wife in Mexico. Enjoy the sun, observe, and report. Just one rule, don't get too close. But it's all Nas can do not to watch the alluring dancer's every move. A closer look is irresistible, especially when she's in trouble. Evelina escaped to the island getaway to live an untraceable life, as far away from the past as she can get. But Eva can't ignore the dark, muscled stud who rescues her from a drug gang. He says he's an ex-cop on vacation. When Providence throws them together time and again, Eva thinks it's all a beautiful coincidence. Now she's giving in to a strange new sensation. Trust. But Nas has a mission to accomplish and a secret to keep. Eva has her share of secrets too. And as the heat flares between them, Nas knows that trust could become the most dangerous impulse of all. Okay. So, where to begin? The two main characters for this book are Nasir and Evelina. Nasir, Nas for short, is and as the blurb clearly states, an ex-special ops agent. He's a former cop, former military guy, ex-bodyguard. He used to be a bodyguard for like celebrities, and he became burnt out and was recruited by another ex-military guy, and who now owns a security company. And he has been hired by said security company and sent on a job to basically surveil a woman in Mexico, on this little island in Mexico. Given the barest of information, right? Because he's basically just there as like an arm. He's one branch of a much larger tree, right? So he's not privy to a lot of the details of the job. He's basically been told by his boss, Connor, the barest of facts, which is basically that they've been hired by this guy, Dmitry, this super ultra rich billionaire Russian guy, to surveil and watch his overstimulated, bored housewife who has run away to Mexico to gallivant and whatever. She's done this before. No big deal. Just watch her, make sure she stays out of trouble. Report back to me whatever you see her doing, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, Connor's friends or acquaintances with Dimitri's father doesn't know shit about Dmitry himself. So, out of respect for his father, he takes the job. He dispatches Nas. This is Nas's first mission or job with the company. He thinks it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Go out there, sit on the beach, follow this chick around, keep tabs on her, make sure she stays out of trouble, take some pictures. You know, He taps her phone, he tracks her internet history, sees her comings and goings, what is she doing, blah, blah. Once a week, he reports via satellite call or Skype or whatever it is back to Dimitri. What is my wife up to? Okay, cool. I get paid to do that? Awesome. So he does. And over the course of the time that he's watching her, and he's taking her photos, and he sees his watching turns to fascination, and his fascination turns to infatuation, and he can't stop thinking about her. And he becomes a little too close to his mark. And one day, he is out in the market watching her. And this is when Eva's POV is going on in the book. Evelina, Eva for short, is an ex-ballet dancer. She was the pride and joy of Russia's prima ballet company, or would have been if she had kept going the route she was going. However, she was dancing one night and was plucked from the theater by Dimitri, swept off her feet, and from that point on, essentially held captive. Her and her mother, who was basically collateral damage, and she was physically, mentally, emotionally abused in every way you can possibly imagine by this sadistic fuck. And her previous attempts to escape him resulted in pain and torture against her mom, which is the only reason why she was eventually brought back to him or went back to him. Her mom has since died. She planned for months to escape this time by jumping off of his yacht in freezing cold temperatures in the middle of the night and swimming for miles to get to shore with fake documents that she had previously procured to make herself disappear. Obviously, he's found her already 5 minutes later and hired someone to watch her. Why he's hiring someone to watch her versus just bringing her back or getting her himself is yet to be seen, right? Okay. So, Evelina is out in the market after so many years of constant anxiety and looking over your shoulder and being watched by guards and watched by Dimitri and watched by whatever. She knows what it feels like to be watched. She knows someone is watching her. She doesn't know where they are. She can't pinpoint it, but she knows that there's someone is watching her in the market. So she tries to evade that person. She has a gun on her. She knows how to use it, but she's afraid. She tries to evade that person, so she leaves the market and she walks down a bunch of deserted streets trying to shake them loose, trying to evade or get them on their own enough that she can use the gun. She gets herself into some trouble with a local drug gang who clearly want to use her for sexual stuff. Nas has to say, bail her ass out. At the time, he introduces himself afterwards as just a stranger who's just there, ex-bodyguard to the rich and the famous, who's in between jobs and on a little vacation. And she buys it. Hook, line, and sinker. She buys it. Very naive. And they have like they have their little interaction, their back and forth banter, and then they go their separate ways. But she can't stop thinking about him. And then obviously now he can't stop thinking about her, because now that he's met her and made contact with her, pictures are not enough. They're not going to be enough. So he runs into her again later at like a little cantina, bar, restaurant, whatever, on the beach. And over beers or over drinks, they have another conversation. And they do this thing where, and it's something that continues throughout all three books. It's part of their banter, their thing that they do, part of their relationship thing they do, is they constantly insult each other's looks. So she'll tell him how ugly he is and how he needs to join the circus and all of these other crazy insults, and he'll comment on how fat she looks in those pants and if she can only eat she's only allowed to eat 3/4 of his fries, because if she eats the last quarter of his fries, her ass will be too big to fit into the car, and shit like that. Like, they go back and forth with these things, and it's literally the cutest and most endearing thing I've ever read in my life. It's very reminiscent to the banter between Declan and Sloane in JT's Queens and Monsters series, in Carnal Urges. But instead of like insulting the other's intelligence, they're insulting their looks. So it's just so fucking cute. You can't help but laugh. And then he'll follow up whatever it is that he's saying with something ridiculously sweet, and you're just left like, I'm literally sitting there listening to the audiobook and I'm laughing hysterically, and then he'll say something and I'll just go, oh my God. Because you just can't not. Because even though he's insulting the way she looks, it's not malicious. It's not maliciously done. It's done in good humor, and she knows that. And she's doing it to him in the same good humor. And they're both such sweet people, like good-hearted people, you can tell, that there's just no malice in it whatsoever. So after that conversation, they just keep running into each other. It's my kid laughing. After that conversation, they keep running into each other, right? And they grow closer and closer. But now, the secret of who he is and why he's really there is dangling between them. She's clearly becoming more attached to him. And she wants more from him. And at one point, he gets so nervous when she tells him point blank, I want you. And he he gets so anxious that he tells her he's celibate. And she assumes it's for religious reasons. And so she just buys into it, like, oh, okay, I guess I have to respect your beliefs and your reasonings for whatever. And afterwards, he's kicking himself because he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You idiot. And they're going out and doing things together, going on day trips to look at sightseeing stuff and he's not supposed to be doing any of this stuff with her. He's not supposed to be having contact with her at all. He's supposed to be watching her from afar, taking pictures of her, monitoring her phone, monitoring her computer usage. He's not supposed to be talking to her. So he's already breaking a bunch of rules. Not to mention the worry of, if Dimitri knows where she is and has me watching her, could he have anyone else watching us? So the secret of what he's doing there is hovering between them. And every time she says anything to him to indicate that she's attracted to him or that she's developing feelings for him, he literally is banging his head against the wall because he's developing feelings for her. And he knows that he can't follow through with them without telling her the truth first. And if he tells her the truth, she'll run screaming in the opposite direction because she'll never trust him again. And so he literally tells her, like, I'm not a good person. You won't think, if I told you everything about my past, like or about who I am, you would not want to be with me. And she's insistent, no, that can't be true. That can't be true. No, it's true. You would not want to be with me. And so he reports into Dimitri every week as usual. And then one night they're coming back from doing something together and they stop off to get like ice cream, I think. And they're eating their ice cream and she opens up to him about why she's running or why she's there. Because now that he's gotten to know her, the few things she's dropped, like little phrases or little sentences or hints, that she's not just some bored little housewife who's off gallivanting for freedom away from her husband. Something else is going on here. So he asks her, what did he do to you? And she breaks down and she tells him everything, from the abuse against her mom to him physically abusing her, that one of his favorite instruments of torture was a cattle prod, that he would, like, all of these terrible things that he would do to her. He broke her bones. He literally just beat the shit out of her all the time. And then the psychological torture and how she was trained how to talk to him, how to treat him. He was sadistic. He's a sadistic fuck. And he opens up to her about being married before and his wife passing away from breast cancer And shit, I can't even talk about it without getting teary-eyed. This was the part, in case you can't tell, this was the part that made me cry in the book. So it's like a come to Jesus moment between both of them. And they both open up with like a bunch of secrets about themselves. And he immediately goes back to Connor, calls him, and says, no, I can't do this anymore. I want you to find out if this is true. Like, he believes her 100%. He wants to find out more on Dimitri. He wants to find out why they were hired. He wants more information. He wants to terminate the job, essentially. He's now taking the stance of, Eva is my priority, even if it means losing my job. He tells Connor, even if it means losing my job, it's been a pleasure to work for you, but Eva is my priority now. And Connor is a scary dude in the beginning. Like, he's a scary motherfucker, because he has he's like a big hulking he's a big hulking buff dude, but he's married to a woman named Tabby. And I didn't know this at the time. They have their own book, which I'm literally working my way backwards in JT's catalog, which is fucking stupid, but this is me we're talking about, so of course I'm doing it back-asswards. But Tabby is, I literally imagine her as like one of those like Bratz dolls in my head, because she's obsessed with Hello Kitty, and she wears crop tops and pigtails, mini skirts, and combat boots. And she's like basically a walking anime fantasy. And yeah. And she's married to this huge hulking ex-Marine scary dude. And so when Nas first tells Connor that he wants to terminate the job, Connor is livid. And Nas says, I want to talk to Tabby. Put Tabby on the phone. Let Tabby decide if we should investigate this further. And immediately Connor just goes into a rage because Tabby was abused herself. And if it turns out that any of that was true, the job is done. And that puts Connor in a tight spot with Dimitri's dad. Because if Dimitri's dad didn't know what Dimitri's been up to, then that's going to be an awkward conversation for the two of them. Okay? So Tabby gets on, and she says, we're going to look into it. I'm going to find out what's going on, and we'll get back to you. She does, and they verify that not only is Dimitri going around telling everyone that Eva is his wife, when that's not the case. She's not married to him. But there are records of her being hospitalized with broken bones and injuries that she sustained while living with him. So there's a clear record of abuse. And at that point, Connor freely admits the job's done. We're not gonna. So then they start formulating a plan. And he has to tell Eva the truth, because he has to get her out of Mexico and back to New York, where Connor's base of operations is, where their headquarters is, because that's the only place that she's going to be safe from Dimitri, because Dimitri knows exactly where she is. and has known this whole time. So he calls her and he tells her they have to go. Pack a bag, we're leaving. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, I'm not leaving unless you tell me what the hell's going on. And he says, I can't tell you over the phone. I have to tell you this to your face. I'll be there soon. And he comes over and he tells her everything. Who he is, who he works for, what he was hired to do. And immediately she like wigs out. And she diverts him to, like, she pretends to be processing the information or like in shock, and diverts him to the bathroom to look for something while he's like packing up her duffel bag. And she makes a run for it. He has to physically cuff her to the in the Jeep to get her to the chopper to get out of Mexico. They eventually make their way to New York after stopping over in I think like Cuba or somewhere at like a safe house to like sleep for a few hours and that kind of thing. And then they eventually make it to New York. She's fighting him the entire way because she thinks that he's taking her back to Dimitri. She will not believe for any reason that he's not taking her back to Dimitri, because now she does not know. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't know who he is. Everything that she thought she knew about him was a lie. So they get to the headquarters of his job, the building where Connor and Tabby are. And she won't get out of the car. She's refusing to get out of the car. And he calls up and he says, can you guys come down? She won't get out. She thinks Dimitri is inside. And Connor and Tabby come down. Connor is not going to invoke any kind of security into anyone. He looks like a walking T-bone steak. And so he stays off to the side. Tabby gets into the car, asks her, can I get in with you? And she says yes. She gets in. And by this time, Nas has hinted to Eva that Tabby had her own Dimitri at one point. And so Eva asks her about it. And Tabby tells her it was my half-brother. And it was either her half-brother or step-brother, I can't remember. And he was also a sadistic psychopath. And he hurt her badly. And she finds a kindred spirit in Tabby, which is the only reason that she gets out of the car. And she goes upstairs. And even up to that point, she's still thinking, walking into Connor's office, that she's going to be met with Dimitri's face. When she walks in, she doesn't see him. Immediate relief. So they start trying to develop a plan of how to get to Dimitri. Because at this point, Nas will accept nothing less than killing him. He wants revenge for everything that he did to Eva. So they start trying to devise a plan. Tabby is like a world-class hacker. She can hack satellites. She can hack traffic cameras. She can get into government systems. She can get into anything. She's good. So anytime there's anything that needs to be like researched, she's on it. So they're like, sit tight here. We'll stay here for now because we're safest here while we devise a plan. The next check-in with Dimitri is not supposed to happen for like 6 days. That gives us time, right? In the meantime, Tabby takes all of his money. Like, she drains his accounts and like donates his money to charity or a bunch of his money to charity. Dimitri ends up calling before the check-in and says over the phone, I'm having some problems with my funds. I'm no longer going to be needing your services. I'll pay my last payment in cash or whatever. And other than that, you know, we'll just cut ties. My diabetes is getting too out of control, and I'm just tired, and I don't want to be bothered with this anymore. And as for Evelina, I just can't be bothered anymore, is the way he makes it sound. He makes it sound as if he's just gonna let her go. And they're just like, something right here. Something right. So, a couple days go by, and nothing happens. Everything's quiet. There's no moves being made against them. Nothing's going on. So they decide to test the theory of whether or not they're free to go out by taking Eva to church. Eva is very Catholic. She's like devout, like Russian Orthodox. So she prays. She was raised by her mother to pray a lot. So she wants to go to church. So they map out a church that's within driving distance. It's not a Russian Orthodox church, but it's a nice Catholic church. And they map it out. They're going to go fully loaded, cars, you know, everything. Guns, bunch of guards. They're going to be set just in case. So they go. They're driving. And a motorcyclist rides up next to them and throws something at the side of the car. And a bomb goes off. And everything just explodes. When she comes to, she's got a piece of shrapnel sticking out of her chest. Luckily, she was wearing a bulletproof vest under her clothing, or she'd be dead. Now she's face to face with two of Dimitri's men who are inside the vehicle, getting ready to pull her out, taking her over to another vehicle to take her back to Dimitri. No fucking way. She pulls a gun and she shoots them both point blank in the face. She manages to get out of the car and go look for Naz. Naz has been blown from the vehicle. He's laying on the street. He's torn up. He's got like a collapsed lung. His like femoral artery in his leg has been nicked. Like, he's bleeding out. He's a fucking mess. Luckily, Connor is there trying to take care of him. They get him to the hospital. It's touch and go for a hot minute. But with surgeries, et cetera, he's going to be fine. He's just got to stay in the hospital for a while. Eva knows what she has to do. She goes out to the lobby and she makes a phone call. Collect call, international call to Russia. And after going through like a weird switchboard, she gets in touch with Dmitry. And she says, I know that it was you that sent these men. And he's like, of course I did. I've known where you were all along. I knew that you were fucking around with this guy. I knew everything that was going on. I've got 2 more men stationed within the hospital right now who are just waiting to slip in to finish the job. And she tells him, I will willingly come back to you if you give me your word that you'll leave him alone. And he agrees. And she says, give me 24 hours with him. And then I'll come back to you and I'll give you every piece of me, whatever you want. My soul, my heart, everything. And he says, okay, be at the docks to be picked up for this boat at this time, whatever. And she says, okay. And she hangs up and she goes back and she spends the night with Nas in the hospital. And then she just disappears from the hospital. And that's basically where the first book leaves off. Okay. All right. Now, 45 minutes later, book 2. Book 2, Dangerous Desires. So, book 2 picks up exactly where book 1 leaves off. Nas is in the hospital. He has like a funky dream. So, he has this weird premonition type dream while he's in the hospital, doped up on all these pain meds, right? Of Eva at the end of a pier or a dock in a flowy dress, getting ready, it looks like getting ready to board a ship with black sails. A dark ship with black sails. And he's running to reach her and he can't get to her in time. And she turns around and gives him this weird look. And then she gets on the ship and the ship sails away before he can reach her. And he wakes up and realizes that she's not there in the hospital with him. And he asks Connor, who comes walking in at that time, where is Eva? And Connor's like, I don't know. She was here before, but now she's gone. And he's like, what do you mean gone? And they call Tabby, and Tabby starts searching for her. Meanwhile, she has about a 5-hour head start on them. She has gone to the location that Dmitry told her to go to, where she was met by a man named Raphael. Very sophisticated French gentleman. Very nice. She's boarded a ship, coincidentally, with black sails. And she's told by Raphael, behave, because I'm not going to hurt you. But he might. And he looks off to the side, and there's another man there. And this man is huge. Huge, hulking, tattooed. Just scary looking guy. He opens his mouth and he has an Irish accent. And immediately she thinks, since when did Dimitri start working with the Irish? But, okay, it's weird, but okay. So she has like a moment or two where she tries to play it off and be defiant. Like she tries to set a boundary of, Dimitri, I don't know what you know about Dimitri or how long you've worked for him, but I'm his favorite. And if you touch me, you'll pay for it with your life. And he smirks at her right before he grabs her by the throat and drags her by her hair off the deck into a stateroom and beats the crap out of her. That Irishman is Killian Black. If you've watched any of my previous videos, if you've watched my reviews for the Beautifully Cruel series or the Queens and Monsters series, you will recognize that name. Killian is my favorite alpha male from any of JT's novels that I've read thus far. So seeing him, when I first read this, and he said his name was Killian, immediately I was like, no, this can't be my Killian. Because she's portraying this Killian as a scary dude, like a scary, scary dude. And he beats on women? No, not my Killian. Not my Cruel Paradise Killian. No way. There's no fucking way my Killian would beat on a woman. So I kept reading, obviously. And he had moments, this guy, of where she would describe him as showing hints of remorse or regret before he would do something bad to her. And I just kept thinking, is this the same guy? Because they didn't say his last name. He just said Killian. And I'm like, is it? So essentially, she's on this boat and it's made to seem as if Raphael, the Frenchman, is the one in charge. But when she sees the two of them together, it's made clear that he's afraid of Killian. And that the real person in charge is Killian. And she starts to believe that either she got on the wrong ship or there's something else entirely going on here. And so she puts two and two together and she realizes that you're not taking me to my husband at all, are you? And if you are, you're not doing it for him. You've kidnapped me to hold me as ransom to get something from him. And Killian tells her point blank, yes, you are the collateral for something else. they talk over the course of this sea journey. And eventually it comes out that she's been abused by Dimitri, and that he's taking her back to her abuser, or that he will eventually be giving her back to her abuser after he gets what he wants from Dimitri. And the whole "I'm not Dimitri's wife" thing is a revelation to him. It's also a revelation to him that she does not work with Dimitri in his evil deeds. Killian, and yes, it is the same Killian, was operating under bad intel when he took her at the beginning of this voyage. Was operating under bad intel from someone that told him that she was complicit and an active and willing participant in the bad shit that Dimitri gets up to. That she was essentially his partner in all of that. Human trafficking, drug trade, money laundering, murder, all of that. So when he first got his hands on her, he thought she was a piece of human trash, which is why he beat the crap out of her. So when he realizes that that's not the case, he is filled with a ridiculous amount of remorse and begs her forgiveness. And over the course of the second and third books, she gives him that forgiveness because she understands that he didn't like do it intentionally. It was on bad information. So that's an iffy spot right there in the books, because some people may not be able to get past that and be able to, that might be like a trigger for some people. So I guess check trigger warnings for that. But it doesn't, there's a lot of that type of physical abuse in these books. So they're mafia books. What do you expect? So yeah. So when he realizes that she's not in league with Dimitri, she offers to help him get whatever it is that he wants from Dimitri. And he's baffled by the notion that she would willingly give herself up to Dimitri to protect someone else. And when she explains to him her relationship with Naz, he's filled with a sense of wonder and jealousy. Not jealousy, but like envy, and a sense of longing, I think. Because it's there. She describes it. It's there in his eyes. That he wants that type of devotion from someone. He wants to feel that type of devotion from someone and for someone. And he's never had that. And the idea of her knowing what she's going back to and still doing it for him is insane. While all that's going on, Naz, Tabby, and Connor have traced Eva's whereabouts to the docks where she left from. They've then traced the boat, the ship's information, to its owner, Raphael. And Nas, against doctor's orders, obviously, has left the hospital, and him and Connor have tracked down Raphael's wife to interrogate her on where your husband is going, what's his final destination. They're interrogating the wife, who's being an ornery bitch, to be TBH. They get the information that basically there was not supposed to be a second person on that manifest, on that ship, meaning Killian was not supposed to be there. He was not an intended passenger. Essentially, he's hijacked the ship, obviously. So, by this time, Raphael is dead. Killian has killed him. He's killed him because Raphael was in league with Dimitri in trafficking girls. So Eva doesn't feel bad about it. She did in the beginning because she didn't know that Raphael was a bad dude because he seemed so polite and nice to her. But once Killian filled her in on what kind of piece of shit he was, she doesn't feel bad that he's dead. So good riddance to bad rubbish. Bye. However, his wife does not know that he's dead, and neither does Nas. So Nas and Connor take a picture with his wife's phone of his wife being tortured, basically, and sends it to the phone, or sends a picture of the wife to Raphael's phone. Killian calls him back and introduces himself, basically, and says, Eva, I'm keeping Eva with me. She's going to help me get something from Dimitri. And you'll be lucky if afterwards I give her back to you, because I'm starting to grow attached to her. And it's true. He is starting to grow attached to her. Killian is starting to getting a little bit of feelings for her, because she's so sweet and she's innocent. Who wouldn't, right? So obviously Nas threatens him a bunch and yada yada, and they hang up. Shortly after that phone call, Eva gets sick, and Killian takes her to a hospital. Finds out that she has like an infection in her heart, and she has to be on like heavy antibiotics, and he allows her to stay in the hospital for literally a day before taking her to a safe house and with all the medications that she needs and everything, taking her to a safe house and depositing her there and keeping her on her medicines. And then it like alludes to him having ties to the Navy and all of these things. And that just further confirmed for me as I was reading that it was indeed the same Killian, because Killian he has ties to everyone, everywhere. He has uber resources. So he leaves her in the safe house and basically allows Nas to track the location of the safe house, and basically lets Nas and Connor find her there with a note essentially saying that to take care of her and to keep her safe, and that he changed his mind, that he wasn't going to use her to get whatever it is that he needs from Dimitri. Naz takes her out of there and gets her to one of their safe houses and gets her more medical treatment. And Connor calls him with a message from Killian. Says that they got a message from Killian saying to call him. He thinks back to himself and he remembers the note that Killian left at the safe house when they found Eva. And he thinks to himself, maybe he left his number hidden somewhere on that note. And sure enough, on the back of the note, in like invisible ink, like the kind, like fucking the Declaration of Independence, Nicolas Cage bullshit with the hair dryer and the lemon juice shit. Yeah, it was like that. And his phone number was on the back. And so he calls him up and he says, I want to meet up in Germany. I want to meet up with you so that we can formulate a plan to kill. I want to kill Dimitri. I want to kill this motherfucker. And Naz is like all for that. He's like, yes, fuck yes. Let's do it. They meet up in Germany. He doesn't trust. They're staying in a hotel first. Naz finds out that Killian knows which hotel they're staying in. And Killian is constantly needling Naz about Eva. About how attracted he is to her. And how beautiful she is. And how much he wants her. And Naz is like constantly getting shanked. It's pissing him off. And essentially, he finds out that Killian knows where they're staying. So he moves them from the hotel they're staying in to an Airbnb, like off the grid. And while they're staying at the Airbnb, Eva does some mental calculations and realizes that she hasn't had a period in a while. And there's a high possibility that she might be pregnant. She used to be on birth control shots, and she hasn't had one since before she escaped Dimitri. They last for a couple months, but how long was she in Mexico? And then how long was she at Tabby and Connor's headquarters? And then with Killian, and then now with Naz. And so right when that happens, she's in such a state of shock that when the doorbell rings and she looks through the peephole and sees a woman with a basket, with a bottle of wine standing on the front porch. And she says, "Who is it?" And the lady says, "Oh, I'm the landlord of the Airbnb. I brought you this bottle of wine as like a gift, for staying here, blah, blah, blah." She doesn't notice the small indications that she would have noticed that make it apparent that the woman is being forced to say what she's saying. And in her state of shock and with a lot of stupidity, she opens the door, and immediately in front of the woman steps Dimitri with a finger to his lips, essentially saying, "If you say a fucking thing, you're dead." And that's where the second book ends. Done, done, done. Okay, book 2, done. Book 3. Book 3, Dangerous Games. Okay. This one picks up exactly where the other one left off. Dimitri has showed up at the Airbnb where they're staying in Germany and tricked his way into the Airbnb. He he essentially shushes her at the door. Don't say a word, bitch, or you're dead. She's like, the old Eva would have been so terrified that I wouldn't have made a sound. New Eva is going to scream at the top of her fucking lungs. And that's exactly what she does. She screams at the top of her fucking lungs. And he's so startled at the idea that she didn't obey him that it causes a moment of pause, which is enough of a moment of pause for her to try and turn around to run. Obviously, he grabs her. Okay. There's a gigantic shootout. Nas comes running in from the bathroom where he was before. He comes running in to the thing. Dimitri's men are there. There's a gigantic shootout. Nas gets shot a bunch of times. Dimitri gets shot a bunch of times, including he takes a shot to the abdomen, to the gut, which is, as we all know, not a good place to get shot because those wounds don't heal very well. Those are some pesky places to get shot. And in all of the hubbub, she gets pushed down the front set of stairs. So she's beat up pretty bad. And she's laying at the bottom of the stairs, worrying about her possibly unborn child. Bloody, with several possibly broken bones. Her arm is definitely broken. Her shoulder's probably dislocated. Her ankle is all fucked up. She's a mess, right? So the men, Dimitri and one or two of his men make it out of the house. And she doesn't see Nas coming out of the house at any point to come get her. And immediately she senses her stomach fall out, like her stomach bottoms out, because she immediately thinks, oh my God, he's dead. Because there's no other reason why he would not be rushing out of the apartment coming after me. They load her up into Dimitri's car and they take her back to his mansion. Not his OG mansion, but a newer place. First, they take her to like this weird subterranean underground like prison cell that they throw her in and leave her there for a hot minute. He comes back and he gets her eventually and takes her to a new compound that he's purchased in Poland, I think. And it's guards everywhere, dogs, the whole nine, right? Huge compound. So that's happening over there. Over here, the Germans who were supposed to be Connor's contacts in Germany that were supposed to be backing up Nas were nowhere to be found. Where the fuck were y'all? Oh, he has low blood sugar and we had to stop off to get something to eat. Are you fucking joking? So the Germans finally show up and go, don't worry about the bodies. I'm going to go talk to the police. Before that can happen, Killian shows up and gets Nas out of there. He basically saves Nas's ass. Gets him to medical attention, obviously. He gets him to like a safe house type place and brings in this guy named Doc. He just goes by Doc. And he's a contact of Killian's who basically doctors Nas up while they wait to see what Tabby and Connor can find out about where they may have taken Eva, where Dimitri's new compound may be. When they took her to the first location, she was being guarded by 2 men. She tricked one of the men into giving her a lighter to relight like a candle, because it was pitch black dark down there in the little basement cell she was in. But there was like a torch candle on the sidewall, and it went out. And she tricked one of the guards into giving her a lighter so that she could relight the candle. It basically cost that guard his life. The guard was, I think he was going to get like, whipped or something for the transgression, for giving her the lighter. He was going to be punished. And the guard that gave her the lighter was going to be punished. And she spoke up to Dimitri and volunteered to take the punishment for the guard because she got him in trouble. That endeared her, unknowingly endeared her to the other guard, whose name was Stefan. What Dimitri didn't know was that Stefan and the other guard were in a relationship together, or that they were romantically involved. So when she volunteers to take the punishment, Dimitri's like, okay, cool, but I'm still gonna kill this dude. He kills the guard that gave her the lighter either way. And she gets whipped like a bunch of times on her back, the back of her legs, the back of her, like her whole back end, just completely whipped with an actual whip. And then she gets moved to the new location. So that's like the beginning of her punishment, the beginning of her torment. But from that point on, she gets funny looks from, like sideways looks from the guard, Stefan. Anytime something happens, Dimitri does something to her, he gives her like a funky look. So she essentially forms like kind of an alliance with this guard Stefan. He tells her low-key that they basically want to get rid of Dimitri. That Dimitri has overstepped himself with the pecan. That he's been doing deals behind the pecan's back. The pecan, by the way, is the head of the Bratva, the Russian mafia, Dimitri's boss. That he's been overstepping, he's been doing shady deals behind the pecan's back. He's been making money without telling the pecan. And that essentially they're going to usurp him, that they want to take him out. So she makes like a tentative, she knows she has like a tentative ally in Stefan, as much as he can be without blowing his own cover. All the while that this is happening, it seems as if the gunshot wound in Dimitri's abdomen is getting worse. He's pompous and arrogant enough to believe that he doesn't need medical care or things like antibiotics. So he has a physician that's coming to take care of him and look at the wound, but he hasn't been taking care of it the way that he should. And having diabetes, which was true, that he mentioned that in the beginning of the books. Eva used to take care of him before she escaped him. She used to give him his insulin because he is a diabetic. So his wound is not healing, and it's becoming infected and angry looking and red and gross. So he's not doing well. I mean, he's still well enough to beat on her and throw her around, but he's becoming more and more vulnerable as the days go by. So while that's happening over there, Killian manages to find the first location where Eva was held, finds the pool of blood on the floor and the dead guy, the guard that was killed, but does not find Eva. The only reason that he found that location was because he had given Eva one of his business cards, which had a tracking chip, like a geolocating microchip thing built into the card. And she had that card on her, still in her jeans pocket when she was taken by Dimitri. But the card was left at that location. That's where it went dark. So he finds the location, but not Eva. When he reports that back to Nas, Nas has like a full-on rage out, like a break. He feels helpless. He feels like he can't do anything. Where is his woman? Any manner of things could be happening to her. Where is she? He's freaking out. So while he's hulking out over there, Eva finally gets her opportunity to basically freak out. She has her freak out moment as well. Dimitri takes pleasure in showing her a newspaper article where it showed that an article about a shootout at an apartment and a confirmation of one American that was killed during the shootout. And it showed a picture of Nas's face in the article. This has been deliberately planted by Connor and Killian and Nas to make Dimitri think that Nas is dead. They didn't expect, obviously, for her to see it, but subsequently she has seen it. Dimitri takes pleasure in letting her know that Nas is dead. So she has a spaz attack, and she manages to get her hand on a fireplace poker, and she swings it with as much strength as she can muster, and she whacks him across the face with it. And he's stunned, knocked over, and they have a full-on like wrestle session, including him attempting to rape her against his desk, where she gets a hold of his letter opener and stabs him with it again in like the gut area. And When he's getting ready to go, when he has her on the floor, and he's getting ready to go for a blow to her stomach, she protectively puts her arms around her stomach. And he immediately knows why she's doing it. And it's like a revelation moment. And he goes, "You're pregnant." And she tries to play it off like, "No, I'm not. No." And he immediately orders the doctor to come back and give her a pregnancy test, which he does, and it's positive. And he knows that now he has the ultimate leverage over her. He says, "You're going to marry me, or I will kill the baby that's inside you. I'll beat you so badly that you'll die. And I will beat you so badly that your child will die." And she knows that she has no choice. So the next day is the day of their wedding. After he's beaten the crap out of her, he comes to her later and he whips her again that night. The next night is their wedding night. She barely is able to put on the dress because she's been whipped so badly. She goes to the wedding, or she goes down to where the wedding's going to take place in the house. The priest is there to marry them, and she sees Dimitri chatting and whatever with the priest, and they're getting ready they're in the middle of the ceremony. It starts. The ceremony begins and then is interrupted in the middle by the pecan walking in with several of his men. Obviously, I was not invited to this wedding. Lovely wedding they're having here. Dimitri, I know what you've been doing, and I know you've been trying to usurp me. I know you've been doing all these shady deals behind my back, and now you gotta die. So the pecan has his men drag Dimitri from the room, take him into another room, and shoot him. The priest is like, bolts it. He's out of there. Eva looks at the pecan and basically tells him, like she pleads for the life of her and her child. And the pecan lets her go and says, you can't contact anyone from your past. Your past life is over. Go somewhere where no one knows you. And I don't ever want to see you again. I don't want to hear from you again. You live a new life from now on. And she takes it and she runs. Stefan takes her in a car to the airport gets her fake documents and puts her on a plane. And she can't think of anywhere else to go but back to Mexico. Not to the same island, but to a close by island, or a close by town. And it was the only place that she was ever happy. So she goes there to raise her child, to have her baby and raise her child, where she can eventually tell her child about its father and how brave he was, and etc. Because at this point, she still thinks Naz is dead. And while that's going on, right after that, Naz finds the compound. Tabby and Connor and them narrow down which of Dimitri's holdings of these new properties that he's purchased is the one where he could have taken Eva. Nas gets out there and runs into Stefan as he's coming back from the airport. Nas stops him in the middle of the street with a gun to his head. Stops his car and is like, who the fuck are you? Who do you work for? Where is she? Blah, blah, blah. Stefan takes him back to the house, shows him around, answers all of his questions, shows him the tin drum where they've put Dimitri's body, where they've put his body in acid to decompose. Nas can clearly see that Dimitri is dead. And Stefan tells him, I can't tell you where she's going, but I can tell you the name that she's using to get there. And at that point, Nas just hugs him, breaks down and hugs him. And he goes after her. So Nas goes to Mexico. Before he can get there, however, Killian beats him to it. Killian finds her first. And he just wants to make sure she's okay. And so Nas, she comes home from the market one day. And there's a dog in her apartment. It's a little wiener dog. And he's wearing a tag that says, what is it? Senior hot dog or something like that. It's a dog. It's a name reminiscent of a dog that they had seen together on one of their outings prior to all of this happening when they were in Mexico together before. And when she sees that, she's like, what? She has like a moment of shock. And then she looks out her window towards the beach and she sees him standing on the beach right outside her doorway, her back door. And she's elated. She can't believe that he's alive. And she just runs to him and they have their moment. And it was just like, oh my God. It was literally everything. Literally everything. A month later, they go to a doctor's appointment where they find out via sonogram, which is the first time that he gets to see his like, she's been to the doctor's appointments before, but he hasn't. And this will be the first time that he gets to see what's going on with his baby. And they find out at that sonogram appointment that they're having twins. And it was the cutest thing. And they hear the heartbeat. And she looks over and he's crying. And that was the second time that I teared up. And I was like, JT, you bitch, you got me again. You got me again. How dare you? And then there's an epilogue at the end of the book where Nas is meeting with Killian outside of their, is coming back from a job and meets up with Killian outside of their like apartment or whatever. And he thanks him for keeping an eye out for Eva and the babies. I think it's like a year later. I think it's like a year later, the epilogue, and he thanks him for keeping an eye on Eva and the babies. She's now teaching ballet to little girls in Mexico, in the town where they live. And when Nas has to go away on missions, Killian will come and keep an eye on Eva and the babies. And it was just like the perfect closing. It was just good. It was good. Okay, so stop looking at me like that. Stop looking at me like that and making me cry. So yeah, and that was the end. So for the rating, for this overarching hour and a half, 2 hour long video that I've just given you, the rating for these books, I gave them a 10. I think as an overall story, it's probably one of the best stories I've read in my life. And I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of books. And just the chemistry and the banter between the two main characters and his devotion to her and just everything that she went through and her bravery and her, oh my God, it was just so much. And I can't recommend this series enough. And especially in the audio format, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. So for the rating, I gave it a 10. I would highly recommend that you guys pick up this series. It's a phenomenal read. I cannot recommend it enough. I think that's it. If you enjoyed this video, if you actually made it all the way through this video, if you like me and my channel, please consider subscribing. Insert thirsty emoji. I would really appreciate it. If you'd like, you can follow me on social media. I do have a members only Facebook group and Instagram and a Twitter devoted to this channel. I'll link them all in the description box below, and I'll put a little banner here on the screen for you guys to see. And I think that's it. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you all in my next video. Oh, hi. Hi, bright lighting that I still haven't been able to figure out how to fix. Hi. Okay, let's adjust. Are we adjusted? Are we centered? Yes? Yes, I think so. Okay, so I don't understand what's happening with the lighting situation. I also don't understand what's happening with the fluff situation. I know you can see it. Doing this across the screen constantly. It's Freckles' fault. It's not my fault. Okay, it's the rabbit's fault. It's not my fault. I'm doing everything I can. There's an air purifier in here and everything, and I just can't deal anymore. So if you want to blame someone, blame the rabbit. Don't blame Candace, blame the rabbit. Okay, so here we are. Here we are, babies. Hi, babies. Let's get into it. Because I am hype. Am I hype because I'm excited about this book? Are you fucking kidding? Okay. 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 I hate I hate this. I hate everything about this situation. I hate it. Oh, God. "12 hours later." Should we chat while he's going, or like what? Should we do that? Instead of just sitting here in silence, should we chat? What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't hear what's new without finishing it that way. Ever. Ever, ever. If you hear that phrase, what's new, and you don't finish it that way, we cannot be friends. I'm just saying, we can't. You done? Had enough? Freckles, had enough? I think he's had enough. I think so. Okay. I've procrastinated recording these reviews for so long that I have lost all the plots. All the plots are gone from my brain. They've just leaked out like pudding with my brain cells. Pudding. That was like a grotesque analogy that I just... Anyway. Okay. Stop dicking around, Candace. You don't have fucking time for this. Get your shit together. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Why would I leave my depressing, sad, drama-filled real life? It's not that. I'm being exaggeratory, obviously. To jump into novels filled with depressing, sad shit. Why would I do that? No. No. A closer. But Eva, it can't. Candace, you can't read today. Okay, I can't find it. Fuck it, I don't care.
Want to play so bad. Will you please help me? Help.
I can't help you with that right now, but play something else until I come out, okay?
I don't want to.
But you have to.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay, go. Go on. Go play something else. Lipstick on your forehead. Okay, go. Go on, let me finish. Hurry.
I need a hug.
You always need a hug. Okay.
I need a hug.
No, you had enough hug. You're wasting my storage. Now go. Oh my God. I can't believe that I cried twice. They're that good. They're just that good. Stop making me cry. Do not look at me. Don't look at me. Look away. Look away. I don't have real human emotions. Okay. I'm done with that now. Thank God. So that leaves me with... That only leaves me with 400 reviews left to do. So I have to do Burn For You, and I have to do the Silver Swan. Amo. I'm coming for you, Amo. But your book didn't make me cry, so you'd be all right. Oh my God. I can't believe I cried on a review. Oh my God. Okay. I don't think there'll be a lot of bloopers on this one, but I love you guys so much. 5 hours later,